3 shots, 4 par, I just do 2. 1 putt, par 4, birdie, woohoo. New driver, info, replace, M2, par 5, fairway, what you fin do? Think I'll try to get on into. Start right, good line, good view. It drew, shooter, McGavin.
This episode is brought to you by our friends over at Swannies. Clear your closet and get ready to upgrade your fall golf wardrobe over at swannies.co using the promo code SCREWS25. At swannies.co using the promo code SCREWS25. Celebrate pars. All right, so we got Matt here from Birdie Juice. This will be episode number 162, I think, Bryce, or 63, 162 maybe. So this one's a cool one because we've had a beer brand on in the past before. We've chatted a little bit, but you guys got some crazy stuff going on, Matt. So in the last things are kind of happening for Birdie Juice right now. So it's a really, really good time to get you on. Really exciting. Something that we were just kind of chatting a little bit about the Dragon's Den experience and stuff. We want to get into that for sure if we can. But yeah, can you maybe just kind of kick us off, explain who you are, kind of what you do with Birdie Juice, maybe part of the team. Like I know you got Colin. Sorry, the brewmaster's name slips my mind right now. Yeah. But if you could kind of give us an idea who's at the team, and we'll hop right into it.
For sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. I'm really stoked to chat with you fellas. I know we've been going back and forth for a little bit, so really excited to chat some beer, chat some golf things, and everything else. First off, before we get started, I need to crack my Birdie Juice here, just to make sure we know what we're doing.
And we're off.
Gotta get the aiming fluid going for playing at the sim in a couple hours. So you got to start there and make sure you're dialed in.
Sims are tough, man. Sims are tough. You can have as much fluid as you want. It might not work.
It's good fun.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'm Matt. I'm co-founder of Farm League Brewing and Birdie Juice Beer. So kind of sister companies that work in conjunction with each other out of our brewery in Cambridge, Ontario. So on the Birdie Juice side of things, there's a couple other team members other than me. We have the other co-founder, Colin McKinnon, and Mike Mayo. Mike is our brewmaster for Farm League and Birdie Juice, so he comes up with all the recipes, does the brewing and packaging and all that. And then not to forget about our sales rep extraordinaire, Liam Beggs, who's he's our stick of a golfer. He's our guy that goes out and does the tastings on the course, plays the closest to the pins, tries to show everyone up, and gets the beer out there fresh and cold to the courses. So that's the general team we got going on. Been going for two golf seasons, 2 summers, I suppose. So things have been cool. Lot's gone on recently. So stoked to get into it.
Yeah, so we were saying, Brycer, I don't know if you had a chance to check out that link, but these guys were on Dragon's Den recently, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's sweet. No, I didn't get a chance to take a look at it, but
so you'd be a Shark Tank. Yeah, you'd be a Shark Tank guy down there now. But Dragon's Den, the Canadian version, I love that show, man.
O'Leary bailed on us and went down to Shark Tank. So
tough, man, tough. But was Trey Living there? I don't think he was in that episode, right? Is he still on the show? Jim Treliving? Jim Treliving?
No, Jim's gone. It was kind of a whole new cast other than Arlene.
Yeah, I saw Arlene.
Arlene was the OG, and it was fun chatting with her. That's so nostalgic to watching random Dragon's Den episodes in high school or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I one that sticks out for me is Andy and stuff like that have been on there. There's been a couple pretty big Canadian brands that have been on there. So hopefully for you guys too.
Yeah, man, it's super fun. It was a laugh. It was such an interesting experience, a long day, but we got to talk beer and do a little presentation, and everything turned out fun and well. So yeah, what can you say?
So would love to come back to some of the details of how that went through for you guys and what the experience was like and kind of a little bit what we were chatting with about just before we hopped on. But so what was the idea to start the brand? You guys have the Farm League Brewing, so it's I guess Birdie Juice is a subsidiary or kind of a spin-off of it. What was the idea to start the golf specific beer?
Yeah, sure. So I'll give you kind of the top to bottom of it, but basically I'm somewhat of a veteran in the beer, beverage, alcohol industry here in Ontario. Not like, a super long, 20, 30-year veteran, but I've been in it since I was basically out of university. So, about 11 years at this point, working for startup alcohol into some craft breweries, and then obviously creating our own business and our own brewery. So funny enough, when we started Farm League Brewing, it was right kind of before COVID-19 hit hard and shut everything down. So we'd worked so hard to build this brewery and get everything set up and start distributing beer and doing our own recipes and all this fun stuff. And then, felt like months later we were just stuck sitting in our own tap room without anyone able to come in and chill and have beers and do our thing. And we found ourselves like, the three and four of us are all golfers, and it was kind of like spring, summertime. We just found ourselves golfing like most days, or like on the weekends, or at that time it was like everyone was going out, you know what I mean? People were starting. It was really the only kind of fun, cool thing you could do because it was outdoors and blah blah blah, right? So we're always golfing. We have our own brewery, and we're out there drinking Coors Light and Molson Canadian and Moosehead and X, Y, and Z beer that's the same at every course in Ontario. So, naturally, we're getting a little fed up with it. We have the brewery, we don't have much to do. So we're like, let's make, our style of beer, let's make a craft beer, let's make something fun for golf because it doesn't really exist in that capacity. Get it out there, and then when we're out golfing, there's something for people like us. There's something for craft beer has, there's a bit more of a diversification in the beer lineup in the space. So yeah, we just kind of went ahead and created a fun, unique, kind of exciting brand, made some beer recipes, and just started heel toeing it to courses, dropping off samples, just letting them know we're from the brewery down the road, and we made something fun. But then kind of the bigger ethos of the brand itself is that, we have the brewery Farm League Brewing. That's like our home where we do all of our business. But, craft breweries kind of live in their own community, for us being in Cambridge, the Tri-Cities extended area. When you start to think about golf and you start to think about beer, it's much bigger than that. It's, provincial or nationwide, or even larger than that. And people that play golf have the same beer everywhere. So the decision to brand it Birdie Juice and not really bring Farm League Brewing into it was an intentional decision, in the fact that it should be found in the realm of golf, not in the realm of R1 Brewery in Cambridge, Ontario. So that started to allow us to pitch the beer to different places around Ontario, and make it a little bit more a part of the golf sphere than the brewery sphere specifically.
Yeah,
So-
there's also a little bit more of a tie too when you're playing golf and you see a beer like called Birdie Juice. It's kind of almost like, oh, I'm playing golf, I might as well get a beer involving golf. It's kind of like that atmosphere feeling that you want, right? So I think that's a great way to tackle it.
Yeah, for sure. Like, if you're at a golf course in Cambridge and you see a Farm League, you're like, sweet, that's the local brewery. But as soon as you put that in Peterborough, or you put that in Ottawa, or you put that
Right.
in wherever else in the province, it becomes irrelevant because you're not right there. So as soon as you attach the brand to the game itself, it's relevant at any course, no matter what. It's about a fun golf brand and a good beer instead of a craft brewery and golf second. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I watch. I'm gonna put it in the show notes below, so hopefully I don't forget. But so the Dragon's Den link, I'm gonna drop in the show notes below for anybody wants to check it out, because it was really fun. You guys kind of came in. We were talking about you guys came in like a golf cart, kind of golf cart spinning around. So it was cool. But I think Arlene mentioned that, how she was. It was almost like, I think it was Arlene. There was a bit of confusion as to like which. Like, I picked up on it right away because I'm a golfer, right? So when I'm at the course, I'm like, okay, Birdie Juice. Like, if I make a birdie, I want to get some juice, right? So it's kind of a great, like, it's a perfect name. The name is perfect. Like, it's unbelievable. It's perfect for like any golfer who's just looking to like have a good time, right? So
For sure.
I think there was some confusion with them as to why, like, with Farm League brewing being like the kind of like the brew house or whatever it is, and then the Birdie Juice portion. But I don't think that that's gonna translate for golfers. I think like as soon as you see a Birdie Juice, doesn't, you know, you're not gonna think of it as like the Farm League one or whatever it is, and you're gonna
And
yeah.
think of it this way: like if we want to send beer to Alberta to go into, you know, the Alberta or over to BC in the West Coast golf market out there, you know, it would be silly to manufacture the beer in Cambridge and then send it all the way out there instead of, you know, finding another manufacturing facility to do the same recipe and then do local production, and use that. So it's a common thing done in the beer world called contract brewing. So we're really lucky to have our own facility and do everything that we want to do out of our facility in Cambridge. But the brand itself is built to kind of go anywhere golf exists. And then detaching it from our specific home brewery just allows you to do that a little bit more smooth.
How many provinces are you guys in?
So currently we're just in Ontario. We did a pilot run in Alberta last summer, where we did manufacture it in-house and send it over there. And then with the cost breakdown, it was just a little too difficult to pull off, hence looking to move production out there. So in the next little while, we're looking to execute Alberta and then slowly move into BC after that. But currently it's still just Ontario based. Maneuvering from province to province with the different liquor laws takes a little bit of time just to get through the kind of regulation processes and whatnot. So we're allowed to be in Alberta. We're making a play for that next summer, and then hopefully BC after that. But it is kind of a slow process with beer from province to province. So hopefully we'll get there.
Yeah, because golf season doesn't really slow down when you go out to BC. Like you get out there on the island and stuff, and it's all year, right? So the idea of like local production, would that be similar to like if a court, like say somebody picked it up out there, would it be similar to like franchising it? Does that make sense?
It's not exactly the same thing. Mostly you would just like there's breweries that specialize just in like contract production. So normally you would just pay whatever X, Y, and Z manufacturing facility to manufacture your product, and then you'd ship it to whatever, you know, beer depot or logistics type facility. So you'd still fully own the product yourself. You're just kind of remotely manufacturing it and paying someone to manufacture it off site. Typically you'd go there to ensure all the quality is the same as back at home. And then, you know, you just distribute it out of that location. So, you know, even if you think from the biggest brewers or biggest companies in the world, all of them kind of do that, where there's different remote sites in which these products get manufactured to then facilitate distribution to locations that are closer to that specific area. But craft beer doesn't do that too much because they typically don't distribute too far. So it's kind of taking craft beer and using a big brewer model to get it into new locations because of that, you know, ambiguity and that like attachment to golf. So it's kind of an interesting.
It is, man. Like I know this is your world, Matt, and it's not ours. And you sound like you've been in it for a long time. You're a pro with it, but like that's a little piece of genius, man. Especially with the name of like Birdie Juice attached to it, and how like just like infectious that would be for golfers, man. Golfers would absolutely love that name, right? So it's easy to, you know, you're out with the boys or whatever, you're out with the group, and it's just such a good selection process. The logo's cool. Like I remember kind of, I don't know if I chatted with you or maybe Colin like a year or two ago when it was kind of first popping out, and right away I was like, that is such a cool logo. It's just like, it's so congrats to you guys, man. That actually sounds really cool. Like I hope
everything's been done a little bit intentionally. Like our Farm League branding is very classic looking, but everything's kind of classic looking in golf up until recently. So went for a little bit of the more funky, fun kind of look on the beer cans because you don't see that too much on the course. You know, the name obviously is reminiscent of either celebratory or very much in need of a drink. At the course. So we're kind of trying to fit the fun, funky, new age, new golfers out there looking for a good time, not a hard time kind of situation within it. So yeah, man, so far so good. I think, you know, the brand's selling really well. Each summer's done a little bit better than the next. I think as far as the IPA goes and as far as the craft beer goes, we're still a little ahead of the game in golf. There's still, you know, you can look at some courses like you look at the old pub in your neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's still very reminiscent of kind of the days of past when it comes to beer drinking and the choices there are from an alcohol perspective. So, the not specifically the older crowd because a lot of them like craft beer and IPAs as well, but you still find a lot of people clinging on to the classic old domestic beers. So it's a new product, it's a new kind of vision, it's a new thing that's become extremely popular out of LCBO or other, retailers in the country. Bars and restaurants, I mean, you're hard pressed to go in one that's not an older pub and not see a bunch of craft beer options. So we think golf courses is the next thing to kind of adopt that and put them in the forefront a little bit more.
Mac here for Manscaped. Gentlemen, our friends over at Manscaped have been working night and day to bring you a below-the-waist grooming experience like none other with their brand new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. We're talking about a next-generation trimmer with interchangeable blade heads for whatever shave a mind can imagine. AI is cool, but I think this might be the best technology advancement the world has ever seen. Upgrade your grooming game to the Ultrasphere this year by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping using the promo code OTSGolf. High tech for low prices. Manscaped OTS Golf for 20% off plus free shipping. We'll see you in the Ultrasphere.
So we're kind of the first ones there. So there's been some courses that absolutely crush, some courses where they're like, people don't really get it. And I just don't think they've really introduced the style of beer into courses all the way quite yet. So we're excited to see how things go as the years go by, because I think it's just going to get more and more, regular and more kind of wanted at the golf course level for beer like this.
Absolutely, man. My well, Brycer, I think you know my buddy Chef there. He's got the so he's got a restaurant out in Bowmanville. It's called 36 Kitchen and Lounge, and he's got to have 60, 70 craft breweries on his that's kind of his thing, right? So it's like it's all over his menu. I think everybody's from Ontario. I'm
You gotta pop by there, Dan. Next time I'm in town.
yeah. Next time you come through Bowmanville, pop by there. I'll connect the two of you because that's his thing. Like all of his food is locally sourced, and it's like the best restaurant in the area. It's like a complete.
Michigan is huge with craft beers. I mean,
Exactly.
I know it's big in Canada, but I was never really into it when I lived there. But like coming here, it's everywhere. I don't know if other states are like that too, but I know Michigan there's a lot of them around here.
Sure. And like my buddies, high school buddies, university buddies, and we all just used to drink, Bush or JR or whatever, like random beers that were just there. I got into craft beer early, so that's been a part of my, beer drinking patterns for a while. But even the dudes I never would have thought would crack, a craft beer are like, fully into it, or they buy the local thing or whatever it may be. So it's like, it's there for sure. It's just about inserting it into golf courses properly, which is why like for the Birdie Juice IPA, it's 4.2%. Like we're not trying to bomb someone out on the course and drink a 6-7% craft beer.
Right.
It's like light and refreshing, but it still fills that kind of craft beer void that's never been able to kind of get its hooks in the golf world. So I think it's just a matter of time until people realize that's lacking and are really kind of searching for either those local beer options or something that's just a little bit more unique and flavorful. We've proven it so far, but I think it still has some way to go, which is exciting.
So you were talking about the IPA there. Can you touch on the other ones? I know you mentioned kind of the lager a little bit earlier. Can you touch on the other ones you got in the lineup as well?
Yeah. So the IPA is the flagship beer, kind of the ethos of the brand. Everything I've explained is about like the craft beer flavors of the IPA really encompasses that, but we also followed that up with a light lager. Light lagers are what I drink most often after being in the beer world for so long. You end up going with something easy going pretty often. I love the session IPA as well, of course, but it's your classic light, crispy, easy drinking beer. everyone's got to have one. Everyone loves one. It's the thing that's always been in golf, so it's nothing groundbreaking. But we thought, if we're going to go out there with an IPA, and people love the branding, but they're not quite there yet with that style of beer, we should at least have an offering to give something for everybody. So that lager is kind of pulsed in and out of our lineup, but it's finding a home, and super delicious. And then we do a seasonal beer now each summer. This summer was pineapple sour. The summer before it was a grapefruit sour. So basically, we're just trying to take a interesting, refreshing, fruited beer and play that in as a seasonal beer each summer, just to mix things up, do something kind of small batch, something a little bit fun, something that's akin to a cider, or a more fruit oriented beverage, just to kind of open it up to that market as well. So typically we'll have IPA flagship that's going to be available, as many places as possible, and has, the biggest sight line. Follow up with the light lager for, the non-craft beer drinkers, just to get them introduced to the brand, and show that we can make, lagers as well. And then the seasonal fruit beer, just for a fun, funky option, in the summertime when you're feeling the sun and things like that.
So I guess like this would be a great question for Mike, but how difficult is that to add like a different drink, I guess just a different model each year? Like, is that something where, how long would that take him to brew, I guess?
Oh man, it's for us it's not that hard
Okay.
being at farm league. I mean, for farm league we have 15 different beers at any given time. We make 6 core beers, and then we have seasonal, rotational, one off, and just kind of random stuff we like to make. So we're always kicking around small batches of new and different beers. So as far as it goes for a seasonal birdie juice, it's just mostly about deciding, what flavor we want to go for, what's going to make sense, and then, doing a small batch to make sure it's good, and then just, rolling from there. But truly, it's kind of what we do every day, having a craft brewery at our disposal, and our main business being farm league, and doing the true, seasonal, rotational, one-off deal that every craft brewery does. So it's kind of just using that blueprint, and bringing it into Birdie Juice. So it keeps that fun and exciting kind of situation. But it's not easy coming up with a good recipe, but it's something we try and do all the time, and we pride ourselves on. So it's kind of just throwing another iron in the fire, and if it's good, then we put it out there, and if it's bad, we just go back to the drawing board.
Have you guys ever done a seasonal or a one off that was just that hit a home run and knocked it out of the park, and had to like really make a bunch more to kind of feed that need for it?
For sure. So not with Birdie Juice specifically, because it's a bit of a different model. But when you think farm league, some of our core beers that we make full time now started as a seasonal
Yeah.
or
Okay.
one-off brand, and it did so well, it made its way. Like, if it keeps selling and keeps selling and keeps selling, eventually you're like, we should put this in full time, and maybe something that we make full time that's selling a little bit less, we take off, and maybe pulse in next year. So we made a red ale at the brewery, where we are. It's quite, blue collar. The red ale's very much a working person's old school beer. So we made one after so many people were asking for it and asking for it and asking for it. And since then, like, it's carried on for a year and a half through the
It's the
summertime,
mainstay
something like
now.
that. So people love it. So if you can find something like that, my thought is you keep on it, and you keep giving the people what they want at the end of the day. You know what I mean? But
Yep.
there's plenty of things you just make one time just for fun, and it comes and goes. And then, unfortunately, we've made the mistakes of creating something, people loving it, then bringing it back, and then people being tired of it, and then that was best for lightning in a bottle, or a one and done kind of situation, because no one likes sitting on funky beer that was super fun for 2 months, and then lost its gusto. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's got to be something that, like, in the craft beer world, there's so many different like Mike must be mixing them in all the time. Like there's got to be so many different options, right? So you're gonna have that happen, and I guess you just have to have like the memory of a goldfish with that. Like it kind of comes in, comes out, and you're gonna have things like you said, the red sticks, and then even like your standard IPA, all that stuff's gonna be like your staple. So, but it's cool. Sure. Like it'd be pretty cool to be able to experiment with that stuff. I've been able to do like I did like the Alexander Keys Brewery tour and stuff like that in Nova Scotia. Like it was such a cool experience to like kind of meet with the guy and chat with him, and he's just like you. He's so like passionate about it. He's so like into it, and like all the different things that they do, and like making like chocolate beers and stuff. It was really cool to kind of see that on like that's a massive scale, mind you, but it's kind of cool to see that and to be able to have that like ability to customize things and kind of like a little bit of art. Like it's like I'm sure it's like Mike's like little piece of art, right? So is there like an origin story, Matt, for the name? Like how did the name come out? And like when you guys came up with it, when it hit, like you must have thought right away we got something here.
Yeah, like I feel like Birdie Juice has become such like a ubiquitous golf term. Like it's used classically among tons of different groups of golfers. Whether we always say whether you need a birdie or you make a birdie, grab a birdie. Like you have a Birdie Juice if you make a birdie, you have a Birdie Juice if you really need one. And it's just been something that's been like kicking around on the golf course as a term specifically for alcoholic drinks for like a while. I don't know, like 2, 3, 4, 5 years. It's been just
for sure. Like
staying, you know what I mean?
Like I don't know that you guys necessarily coined the phrase, but you were definitely you're definitely like the first to putting a label on it and making it an experience for people.
I was surprised that no one had till that point because it was almost too obvious. You know what I mean? Like you make a beer and alcoholic beverage around golf, and you're like Birdie Juice, of course. And then no one's really been there yet, and you're like, oh, let's like go straight for that. It makes perfect sense. It's almost too synonymous with the name and beer, or I think like Fireball might have been the original Birdie Juice, or who knows, but it's just like the most fun, easy thing, at least in this country, and at least with a beer. I think there was like an energy drink that was not even relevant to golf in Arizona 5 years ago, or something was the only thing that came up in our research. So it was kind of just like maybe people haven't done enough with golf beers, or maybe it's so obvious no one went for it, but it's just one of those kind of perfect storms where you're like, wow, that makes sense, and somehow no one's used it, so that's our friggin' thing. You know what I mean?
This is it. We're taking it. We're running with it. I love that. Yeah,
exactly.
So you mentioned that when you call in Mike, Liam, it's Liam, right? Liam's fourth part of the team.
Yeah, Liam.
Okay, yeah. So you're mentioning that you guys are kind of like going through, you're brewing it up, kind of packaging it, casing it up, whatever it is, and then you drop it off at some courses. So how was that received? Like when were you trying to like set up meetings? Like how did you guys go through that? Or you just pop in the trunk and dropping off a case and seeing if they could like it?
Yeah, man. It's like, I've been selling beer a long time, and there's different markets, one of them being the LCBO beer store, which is its own ball game, bars and restaurants, which is much more akin to golf courses. But really at the end of the day, you're making something, you're popping in usually cold, or trying, cold, get someone's card, get a name of the correct person that deals with those things, setting up a meeting maybe. But mostly it's just like, groundwork, man, like boots on the ground, fill the car up with beer, create a list of places you want to be in, either give a call, go by, prospect a little bit, see if it makes sense, and then go in with some samples, taste some beers, give people the story, give people the pitch why, it should matter, and why it's going to sell, and why golfers will care. And local to us, we worked with some places just from being a local brewery, and you gain some contacts, but really it's just a pure effort game, effort, timing, and road dogging it with the beer, going to the courses, and giving the pitch. So probably 8 out of 10 times you got to come back, or the person's not there, or they're not interested in new beers, especially in golf. It's actually extremely difficult in golf to break through that like normality of what they have because it's been the same for so long. But we just what I always say is consistent, thoughtful effort. You keep rocking and rolling, and if the product's good, and if you have a good story, then eventually someone's going to give it a shot. So we just kept on that for like 2 summers, and now we got a great network of courses. We're in some retail spots as well. People love the beer, and yeah, it's just a pure road dog effort play at the end of the day until you can get a point where people see it without you having to get in front of them and talk about it. You just gotta pop in, put on a smile, and hopefully drink beer with someone.
Yeah, and I think at that point, like, it's a done deal, right? Yeah,
You
you
hope
just
so,
you just
man.
got to get them to taste it. Just how, like, obviously you believe in it, you're super passionate
Yeah.
about it, but like, if they're into it, all you got to do is get them to have a drink with you, and then it's kind of like it's kind of easy. It's got to be easy for
I
from
think it's
there.
gonna get easier every year,
Yeah,
as people want more new, unique, and diverse things. But you'll also run into the places that just won't budge because whether they don't want to do work to bring something else in, whether they have a deal cut with someone, or whether they don't quite understand it yet. There's a lot of that as well. So it's like selling anything, you know what I mean? There's the numbers game associated with it, but if you got a good product and you're passionate and you just keep on it, man, good things happen. So we've been fortunate enough to be pretty successful at the golf course level and forge some great partnerships with people and sell a good amount of beer. So, the next thing is just keeping the foot on the gas pedal. And funny enough, we've mentioned golf courses. Sims though, Sims are
Oh,
a
they're probably
real gem when it comes to
yeah.
beer. That's for sure.
Well,
You know,
because I know a lot of Sims too do the bar in them too. Well, in Michigan here, anyways, a
yeah,
lot of the Sims are like half bar, half Sim. So I know
yeah.
that's a big gig here.
Yeah, they switched over from what was once a, you know, more golf training oriented situation years and years ago, I guess, with the golf sims. And
yeah,
now, especially where we are, it's like they're all bar oriented, right? So they operate like traditional bars and restaurants with the golf simulators. So it's actually a match made in friggin' heaven with
Mm.
Birdie Juice because distributing to golf courses is hard, for lack of a better term. Like their hours are weird. It's a case by case basis. Sometimes they're out in the middle of friggin' nowhere, and you never know how they're going to act with the beer. If they're putting it on their cart, if they're doing a special with it, like it takes a lot of effort for golf courses because they are a unique business in their own way. But the Sims are just like bars and restaurants 9 times out of 10. So they have their systems down. They sell beer. That's probably the main thing they make their money off of. So it works really, really well. So the golf simulators not only extend everyone's year and ability to swing the clubs, but it's an awesome, awesome, awesome situation when it comes to the beer and everything else. Like selling kegs, especially. Yeah, we've been crushing at the simulators, and it's tons of fun. I think people are more up having a couple pints when they're not, walking their bag or, whatever it is they're doing on the golf course. It's kind of built for drinking a beer. So it's sweet. I love them.
How many courses are you guys currently in right now?
So I know in Dragon's Den I said we would be in 80 by the end of the summer, which didn't exactly happen because there were some ups and there's just some ups and downs in the uptake and how it goes. So we were in probably like 50-ish,
Mm.
50-ish golf courses in total, um, which was pretty sweet. Some in a much greater capacity than others. Like I think our best account, not locally, because we have some local ones that just run it really, really hard, but TPC Osprey Valley out there in Caledon, which is like a sweet, prestigious course, which really proves the model for us because if it can work there, it can kind of work anywhere. Crushed for us. Obviously, everything close by, a couple Muskoka courses, things out Toronto way, a little bit of a spread everywhere. But I'd say generally, 50 courses were housing the beer over this summer. And then I'd be hard pressed to say we've probably taken a shot at almost every sim that has a liquor license
Okay.
in Ontario or in Southern Ontario so far this year, and we're in most of them. So we're getting around. We're getting around pretty good.
That's
Nice.
great, man. That's
Yeah.
like even 50 is great for a golf course. And then, like you said,
Yeah.
the sims on top of it, because you're right. Like the idea of going into a sim, kind of like you mentioned, you're going to go in, eat a couple
Most
chicken
people are
wings.
looking to drink while
You're
they're
sitting
playing.
down. You're sitting down on the couch, like in
Beers.
between your shots, having beers,
Yeah.
right? So it's like it is a true match made in heaven.
Yeah.
You, I know you. Speaking of sim, you're heading out shortly, so we won't keep you too much longer, Matt. But you mentioned Dragon's Den. Can we kind of talk about that experience a little bit before
Yeah.
we wrap up? So,
Yeah, man.
can you just kind of tell us, like, even maybe front to back, just how it got
Sure.
started, just the story of it?
Yeah, I'll walk you through it and I'll give you some behind the scenes because it's an interesting situation in general.
Yeah.
But basically, you know, it's Colin came up with the idea. He just applied. Like he's like, oh, this would make a lot of sense. If we got to be honest, from a promotional standpoint, just the show is still popular. It's a fun thing, and a lot of people see it. And you never know if a deal makes sense or if that comes to fruition or whatever. So he kind of went out and applied for it just on a whim to see if it could work. And we ended up getting the call back saying like, yeah, this is cool. This is how it works. This is what you have to do. Blah, 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 blah. That was like in January or something. I guess last January, so almost a year ago. And then they're like, yeah, so what you got to do is come up with a script. You'll work with producers via Zoom like this in 3 sessions before the episode just to make sure, you have the right questions in mind, you say the right things, you're not going to fuck up, or, if you do, at least they've done their best effort. And then for us, man, it really snuck up on us. Like we're so busy at the brewery doing both brands, personal lives and everything as well. Time just kind of flew by. We did our sessions with the producer. We kind of just threw everything together in a way. And then next thing you knew, it was May. I think it was May 3rd. We went on, and we're like, yeah, okay, like we talked to them in detail right before that, but build a set. We rented a golf cart. We kind of threw a pitch together, kind of cobbled it together the week before and practiced it at my house the night before or whatever. And then you just kind of show up at the CBC building in downtown Toronto. And I didn't really know too much what to expect. We just brought a posse with us, a bunch of golf gear, our scripts, and then, we kind of just went for it. So they had us come in. We had a green room. The producer that we were working with was super dope. And we had a bunch of coolers of beer. And she's like, oh, you guys can just drink some beers and hang out and do your thing. So, the whole crew we had some Birdie Juice. We had a little bit of nerve fluid that we were able to have beforehand too. And then they kind of walk you through the set, and then off you go, man. They just give you, this is what you're going to do. 3, 2, 1, off you go. So the Dragons don't know at all what's coming through the door. So it's completely blind for them.
Oh, okay.
The
That
show's
was
actually
that. I
super
was gonna
legit,
ask
so
you
it's
that.
cool.
Yeah.
The show's
Yeah.
actually super legit. There's no BS. It's them. They don't know what it is. They're seemingly quite serious about the investments if it's something they like as well. But yeah, we hopped in a golf cart, gave a quick high five, drove out there, and off you go. So it's super surreal. Big ass set, cameras and lights and everything like that, and you just do your thing, and it kind of passes by like a weird dream when you're doing that sort of thing. You know what I mean? But super fun. Like I said, you film. It actually was like somewhere between like an hour and an hour and a half of like pitching and filming. So our opening thing was like 5-10 minutes, and then they go 5-10-15 minutes, then they go back, sit down, and you start talking all the business numbers and whatnot. So that went on for like 40 minutes, had like a full conversation with each dragon. Like it's much more in depth than it's shown to be on the show, and they just cut it down, you know what I mean, to an entertaining format. But
That's
yeah,
cool.
Dave, we got a deal with Manjeet Minhas, who
Yeah.
does contract brewing as her business. So what she does in her business is exactly what we want to do or use in other provinces. So it made tons of sense. She really understood kind of the language we were speaking. And we're still working on the finer details of that specific deal. So we'll see how that goes. We can't really disclose a whole lot when it comes to that, but we had the handshake deal on the show. It was super, super fun. We're trying to navigate our way into the best way to work with that. And yeah, you go for a good party afterwards and call it a day. But it's good fun. Super glad that they aired it. I think like 1 in 4 pitches gets aired or something like that. So there's tons that get left with no TV time. And I think truly, I think they represented us pretty well. They didn't make us look dumb, which they probably could have. And it seemed cool, and the point got across. So I'm really stoked we were able to do it. And it was kind of just like random, and we said, screw it, let's hop on and chat with the dragon. So it worked out.
Yeah, I know
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was like it's really cool to watch. I know you said you guys were nervous and stuff, but I thought you guys hit it out of the park, man. I thought it was a great pitch, like everything a golf fan would want to see, and hopefully that made it got aired. Did it get aired in May? You said?
No. We filmed it in May. It got
Oh no, it
aired
only got aired like a month ago. Yeah.
September, October.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I watched like the episode when it first came out. Yeah, so it was
Yeah.
only actually like a month ago, but like I'm sure that'll help too though coming into next year.
Oh,
Like I'm
dude.
sure there'll be a lot of people who remember that,
Since we
right?
have our own brewery, we're able to ship beer. So we got a ton of hits on it, a bunch of people
Okay.
buying beer. And a lot of people came through the brewery, but a lot of people just buying it online and getting like 6 packs shipped to their house and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that's
that
cool.
was a cool little pocket of time, which was nice. And when you go into a sim or a course next summer or whatever, it's a fun part of the pitch. You can send that to people and show them and things like that, and somewhat legitimizes the brand that it's like a real thing. And getting the deal and it being investable is kind of like a cool feather in your cap in some capacity.
That's a great nugget for you guys. Like when you're
For
kind of
sure.
doing that
And you
pitch.
put it
That's
on the
all.
website, you put it on your banner. It really has that marketability
Right.
to it as well. But yeah, for next year, within the Dragon's Den and the pitching and everything like that, we're really trying to connect with the bigger golf networks in the province, your Golf Norths, your Club Links, your things like that. So anyone listening, or anyone out there, if you wanna chat golf courses, or you're a part of a golf course or golf course network, hit me up and we'll send you some beer and have a chat, man.
Yeah, we'll I'll put some stuff in the show notes below. I'll put like the Instagram handle in there, and then maybe I'll drop your email in there, Matt, if you don't mind. I can
Sure.
I can throw that in there, and
Go for it.
if there's anybody, they can just reach out directly right through there. That'd be perfect. So
I'm sure there's a lot of golf fans. I'm sure there's a lot of beer fans, and then people that work and love golf courses. Who knows? You know what I mean? The connections you can make can sometimes be great, and everyone likes a good beer. So hit
absolutely,
me up if
and
you're
it's got to be
interested.
proven that it's in the name, right? So if you're drinking it, you're probably more likely to make a birdie. I don't know.
So let me tell you this.
The science. Here we go. The science. I love this. Yeah.
Last week at the sim we were playing at, our accountant, Keegan, whom is most times a lower to mediocre golfer, which is kind of how I am too, but nothing great, nothing terrible, just pretty standard. Was having a terrible round. He was hardly hitting the screen on most shots there in the sim, just kind of putting everything everywhere. Um, TPC Sawgrass, hole 17, Island Green, takes a giant swig of Birdie Juice, probably about 3/4 of a pint, says, "Boys, I need this one." Steps up, puts it within 6 inches of the hole for an automatic concede birdie on
Nice.
17. Birdie Juice is proven.
That's awesome.
It's proven. The theory is proven. The theory is proven,
the
right?
theory is proven. All you need to do is buy a full pint of Birdie Juice, chug it before your shot. I can only speak to TPC Sawgrass hole 17, so if you're not there specifically, don't quote me. But if you are there and you do that, you'll likely get a birdie.
That's great, man. That's a cool. I don't know. That's a cool story. The whole Dragon's Den thing was cool. Like, I was actually surprised when you
It
said
was
the
wild.
Dragons don't know anything about it, like at all about the brand. It's kind of cool to think of like you almost like kind of separating. I'm sure you and Colin then going and Mike going to kind of chat with them all separately. That'd be a really cool experience. It'd be so
Yeah.
like it'd be so nerve wracking. Like this is your
They're
your brand,
legit,
but
man.
yeah.
They're super legit, like legit investors. So it's really cool to have seen it from that perspective where you're like, okay, it's not just like BS. It's actually like kind of super legit, interesting and fun, and like you actually get a good conversation and some tips and some thoughts and everything like that. So it was a cool ride for sure. And I'm sure we'll use it in every capacity we can. At the end of the day, helps get the brand out there no matter what. And all we want to do is spread the good word of well-made beer in the golf world, right? And we want more of that out there. So the bigger and the more extravagant, or the more small and nuanced ways we can do that, it's all the same, man. We just want to get good fun beer in golf courses and have a laugh.
Hey,
Yeah,
hopefully we get a few people interested in it as well. So how Matt, before we let you go, how can we buy it?
So the main way, if you're outside of Ontario or you're outside of the Cambridge, Kitchener-Waterloo, Guelph region, you can buy it, is you can either go to birdiejuice.beer, which is our Birdie Juice website. You can buy beer directly from that website, or merch. Alternatively, you can also go to farmleaguebrewing.com, which is our Farm League website, where Birdie Juice is also listed there. We have a retail shop at our brewery, so if anyone's in the Cambridge area, you can walk right on in and buy some cans out of our fridge. You can also find it at select beer store, LCBO, grocery store, golf courses, and simulators in mainly the Southern Ontario region, but spanning across Ontario, and then hoping to move on western in the summertime and beyond. So those are the main ways to get it. Ontario shipping is weekly, and depending where you live, there's either a flat rate or a small fee, or even free within 50 kilometers from the brewery. So take it a look online, give it a crack. If it makes sense, grab a couple cans, and I'm there at the brewery most days if you ever want to pop by to Cambridge and say what up.
That's awesome, Matt. That's great, man. So again, we'll put the links, any of the details down in the show notes below. So we got lots of friends out in Alberta area too. So hopefully they're excited for it this summer. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, we're stoked. It's a work in progress, but regulatory's there, so we're allowed to do it. So it's just about getting her going and taking kind of another leap of faith. But that's what you got to do, man.
Absolutely, man.
You're building businesses, you gotta go for it. So hopefully the Berta folk
everybody likes making birdies, man,
and some birdie juice on the course, right?
Yeah, everybody likes making birdies. Now it's proven. Like if it's proven at TPC Sawgrass, it's proven anyway. Right?
There you go, man.
Matt, this was great, man. I know you got to go hit some golf balls too, so enjoy it. But hopefully, maybe after the season or something wraps up, we can catch up with you and see how things are going, man. We'd love to have you back.
For sure, brother. For sure, absolutely. I mean, I'm not far out. I got to come out to Bowmanville and check your buddy's spot if he's selling craft beer, and stay in touch. And I'm sure we can figure out a time to play some golf or drink a couple pints.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm out here at Oshawa and Port Hope all the time, right? So if you're coming through the area, let me know. We'll go for dinner and hit a couple golf balls, man. That'd be great.
Sounds good, brother.
All right, man. Take care.
Yep. All right.
Thanks, Matt.
Take
See ya. This episode is brought to you by our friends over at Swannies Golf. Swannies.co using the promo code SCREWS25 for 25% off. Over at Swannies.co using the promo code SCREWS25. Celebrate pars, and we'll see you next Friday.
He's out in my ball in the course, so I tee up. I lose the ball and I re-up. I miss a fairway, I probably end up in the ocean or maybe the beach. And I'm on a par 5 and I'm finna go reach it. Second was blind, I ain't see it. Feel like it might be an albatross, worst case scenario.